It started like any other case, a routine court hearing that would have quietly faded into the background of the legal system. But what happened in that courtroom sent shockwaves through the entire nation. A judge's decision that many believed defied common sense, fairness, and even justice itself sparked an outrage that no one saw coming. The case involved a young woman named Clara, who had taken her employer, a powerful and well-connected businessman, to court over claims of wrongful termination and harassment. Clara was no celebrity, no political figure, just a regular citizen fighting for what she believed was right. Her case, though, struck a nerve with the public. People saw themselves in her, vulnerable, unheard, but brave enough to speak up. When the trial began, the public was hopeful. The evidence Clara presented was compelling. Emails, witness testimonies, even CCTV footage. Social media exploded with support. Hashtags like #JusticeForClara trended for days. Commentators and influencers weighed in, calling this a landmark case for everyday workers. But then came the verdict. The judge ruled in favor of the employer. No compensation, no acknowledgement, just a cold dismissal of Clara's claims. The courtroom fell silent, and outside, it was as if the entire internet caught fire. People were furious. Protesters gathered outside the courthouse by evening. News outlets replayed the decision over and over again. Opinion pieces called it a slap in the face to every working woman. Clara herself looked stunned as she walked out of the courtroom, her supporters surrounding her in disbelief. What happened next was something the legal world hadn't seen in years: mass mobilization. But what made this backlash so intense? Was it the case itself, the people involved, or a growing public frustration with a justice system they felt was failing them? And that's exactly what we'll uncover in this story. Before we continue, if you're passionate about real-life courtroom stories and how they shape society, consider subscribing to our channel. We bring you daily stories that spark debate, uncover truth, and explore the hidden drama behind legal decisions. Now let's dig deeper into the backlash and the forces behind it. The moment the court handed down its decision, the reactions were swift and divided. Outside the courthouse, protesters had already gathered. Some carried signs condemning the judge, others supporting the plaintiff. News vans swarmed the parking lot. Microphones were shoved into faces, and every opinion became a headline. Online, the story exploded. Hashtags related to the case trended within hours. Social media was ablaze with anger, confusion, and deep distrust. People questioned the integrity of the court. They doubted whether justice had truly been served, or if power, privilege, or politics had manipulated the outcome. Even legal experts couldn't agree. Prominent attorneys debated the verdict on national television, dissecting every move made in the courtroom. Some called the decision legally sound, but morally disturbing. Others claimed it was an outright miscarriage of justice. What made the backlash so intense wasn't just the verdict, it was the symbolism. To many, this case was bigger than one person or one ruling. It represented a system they already felt had failed them too many times. For communities who'd experienced injustice before, this wasn't just another story. It was the tipping point. Celebrities even weighed in, some posting messages of outrage, others offering support to the people directly affected by the ruling. One viral tweet simply read, "If this can happen to them, what chance do the rest of us have?" That single sentence was retweeted nearly 1 million times. In response to the firestorm, the courthouse released a carefully worded statement defending the judge's impartiality and adherence to the law. But that only made the situation worse. People weren't just angry about what was decided, they were furious about how it was explained. A peaceful rally turned tense when counter-protesters arrived. Police were forced to intervene, not with violence, but with calming authority. No arrests were made, but the tension in the air was electric. This wasn't just about a ruling anymore. It was a full-blown cultural flashpoint. Inside the homes of everyday people, the discussion continued. At dinner tables, in office break rooms, at schools. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone felt something. And everyone seemed to agree on one thing. Something about this decision didn't sit right. And while the courtroom may have gone quiet, the echo of this verdict grew louder by the hour. The media circus was now fully underway. News anchors debated the court's logic, social media platforms buzzed with outrage, and talk shows turned the decision into their headline segment. But amid the noise, real people were being affected. Those who had faced similar situations, who looked to this case hoping for justice, now felt betrayed. One woman, a mother of 3, went viral for her emotional reaction. In a tearful video, she shared how this ruling reminded her of her own case years ago when her voice too was drowned in legal technicalities. Her video struck a chord, sparking a wave of similar stories shared across the internet. The courtroom decision had unknowingly opened a wound that society had long ignored. Protests began outside the courthouse, not massive at first, but powerful. People carried signs not just about the verdict, but about the system itself. "Justice shouldn't be selective," one banner read. Another simply said, "We deserve better." The noise grew too loud to ignore. Under mounting pressure, the court released an official statement defending the ruling, emphasizing that it had been made strictly within the framework of the law. But critics argued that the law itself was the problem, outdated, inflexible, and blind to the human element. Legal scholars and former judges began chiming in. Some defended the ruling as technically sound, while others called it a failure of moral responsibility. But perhaps the most shocking twist came when one of the jurors anonymously broke silence. In a leaked recording, the juror revealed internal conflicts within the jury room, how some members felt rushed, how they debated for hours over what justice really meant in this case, and how some even disagreed with the final decision, but felt cornered by the evidence or lack of it. This revelation reignited the fire. It wasn't just about the decision anymore, it was about the process, the pressure, the flaws hidden behind courtroom doors. And just when the fire seemed to be dying down, a confidential letter surfaced. A whistleblower from within the legal system claimed the case had been influenced, subtly but intentionally, by political forces. Was it true? Or just another theory fueled by public rage? The truth would soon begin to unravel, but what it revealed was more unsettling than anyone expected. But the backlash didn't end at online comments or media debates. Protests began forming outside the courthouse. Signs raised high, chants echoing the anger of a community that felt unheard. For many, this wasn't just about one courtroom decision. It was a symbol of a broken system. Interviews with protesters revealed deeper frustrations, years of feeling ignored, mistreated, or misrepresented by the justice system. The judge who delivered the ruling soon found herself at the center of an unwanted spotlight. While she had based her decision on the evidence and legal standards, the public wasn't ready to accept it. Some accused her of being out of touch, others of showing bias. Anonymous threats even forced her to have police protection. Meanwhile, the people directly involved in the case were dealing with the consequences in private. One party had to leave town for safety. The other was thrust into sudden fame, or infamy, depending on who you asked. Even their families began receiving messages from strangers, showing just how far the public reaction had reached. News outlets scrambled to cover every angle. Analysts on morning shows debated the legality of the ruling, while late-night hosts turned it into comedy fodder. Social media influencers posted breakdowns, reactions, even memes, some compassionate, others cruel. Then came the unexpected twist, a petition. Thousands signed, demanding a re-evaluation of the decision. Some called for a retrial. Others demanded changes to the law itself, believing that this case had exposed a dangerous loophole. And in a rare move, lawmakers responded. A new bill was proposed that aimed to prevent similar outcomes in future cases. Whether it passes or not, the case had clearly stirred something bigger, a nationwide conversation about justice, power, and accountability. But here's the real question. Should courtroom decisions be influenced by public opinion? Or does that risk undermining justice itself? As the dust settled, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a courtroom story. It was a mirror reflecting our values, our fears, and the growing divide between legal rulings and public expectations.